Welcome to Born for the Straits, a home service podcast, and I'm your host, Mandeep Bhalla. Today, unfortunately, Shreya could not join because of some urgency, but here I am. So today we have amazing guest here. Today we have a special guest with us, Michael Disney, an entrepreneur and business leader in the home service industry. From starting out in automotive centers to becoming a trusted advisor for home service businesses. Michael's journey is one of dedication, hard work, and a genuine commitment to his client's success. Welcome, Mike, to the show.
It's great to be with you. Thanks for having me. It's excited to be here.
Join us as we dive deep into the world of home service entrepreneurship, interacting with industry leaders, coaches, and entrepreneurs about their experiences, challenges, and victories. Through their inspiring stories, we hope to equip our listeners with the tools and knowledge they need to succeed in the competitive home service industry. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, tune in to Born for the Trades podcast for invaluable insight and real-world inspiration.
Awesome. Last time I think we met at Tommy Mello's event. I know we wanted to record there. Sorry about that, but here we are.
You guys were swamped, busy with all kinds of people providing great value. It was good to watch and listen.
Right. But yeah, it was good hanging out there with you. And how is everything going?
Everything's really, really great. 2024 has not surprised us in any way. We're moving right along, and we're getting acclimated to the turn of the calendar, which is always exciting and presents all this brilliant optimism and opportunity in front of us. And so for me, it's just a matter of gauging what's the best thing for me and my company and how we go forward, what it looks like for us.
Awesome, Mike. And like for the listeners, let's start with your journey. Can you share more about your journey in the business world, starting from owning and managing automotive centers to becoming a prominent figure in home service industry? Let's start with that.
Yeah, sure. I have a pretty it's a pretty simple journey. I haven't had too many places that I've called home, if you will. When I was a younger kid, I cut my teeth. I think I learned most of my selling skills in retail, which I think everybody, if they have an opportunity to get into retail, I know it's different in today's world. It's not as intimate as it once was when I was a younger kid going through retail, but I learned a lot. I learned how to handle client escalations and stuff. And I did the retail dance for a decade. And then I moved to New Jersey. My ex-wife wanted to move back home, and she's from New Jersey. I'm from Baltimore. And I had a chance to work with her father in his automotive center. And I did that for 3 years. And then me and my ex-wife purchased his business. And then we expanded upon that. We got a transmission shop, a general repair shop, and we did auto electric repair. And we served central New Jersey doing all kinds of different things, whether or not it be working with the municipalities and the townships, all the way to you coming in to buy an alternator starter or battery for your car. And I had the great fortune of being the fleet manager for two guys that owned a company called Gold Medal Service in central New Jersey. And I got to know those guys pretty well and managing their fleet. And I was enamored and really kind of fell in love with the guys that worked there because they were always happy. And I was always curious why my guys weren't always happy, but these guys were always happy. Yeah. And I knew that they were doing something special with culture and leadership. And
absolutely.
And I went, life gives you challenges. I have 5 children with my ex-wife, and we went through a divorce. And so that divorce wasn't great. She was my partner. My landlord was my father-in-law. So I chose to go and do a different path. And Rob Zadati, one of my dear friends and mentors in life, and Mike Aguilera, who, those two guys started CEO Warrior.
Mike,
they gave me an opportunity to come into their home service company and work on the Costco program that they were utilizing, but not really doing really well with it.
You said Costco?
Yeah, so we were a Lennox Premier dealer in central New Jersey, and we were working out of 3 Costcos when I first joined Gold Medal Services team, and we were just doing horribly with the product. And so came in, we were doing about $300,000 out of 3 stores. Costco was ready to throw us out. I think I built some pretty solid relationships out of the corporate end of Costco. I really loved working with Adam, loved working with Justin and their teams, and then just fell in love with. I'm a Costco guy. My mom took me there when I was a little kid, so I went the East Coast. It was always Price Club, so I remember it. It's in my DNA, and I got really good at that. And then we turned that into a $7.5 million project for Gold Medal a year.
Wow!
And I became the director of sales at Gold Medal. And then we had this love affair with educating our people, the people that were in the trades, the local guys, and then it just took off from there. We started CEO Warrior inside of Gold Medal. Long story short, we'll fast forward pretty quickly. Mike and Rob sold to private equity, like a lot of companies have done over the past couple of years here. But they did it. They were one of the first to do that and experience what the multiples are in today's world. So they sold the service company, and then we made CEO Warrior stand alone. And I worked with the Horizon Group for a period of time because they bought and acquired Sun Capital owned Horizon and Gold Medal, and I got to
Right.
work with Dave Geiger and his team for a period of time. And then for me, it was just the love affair of coaching and educating and training. And I got the opportunity to go work for Mike and Rob full time as their director at CEO Warrior. And the rest is really kind of history after that. I mean, we, over the course of 10 years for me, believe it or not, we've coached me, Mike, and Rob. And it's just been an amazing journey. I'm super fortunate for them to allow me to have participated in their journey. And I got to meet over 1,000 clients, represent over $1 billion in growth, had 50, probably 55 plus at this time that I've kind of seen and helped kind of guide them through
Mhm.
acquisition and exit. And super proud of the work that we've done at CEO Warrior. And, CEO Warrior had private equity come in and acquire them in 2020, right before the pandemic hit. I
Right.
think we pivoted extremely well. Most of our clients had 38% growth throughout that period. So we were really, really solid ahead of the time, I think, at CEO Warrior. And then for me, I think the organization has some designs on going right, like Disney's going left.
Mm.
And I think for me, everybody has a certain expiration date. I think, unfortunately, some people don't know when that happens. For me,
Right.
it was pretty glaring. I knew that I wanted to do some other things. I knew I was going in another direction. And it kind of led me to a path to open my own company. It's a recruiting company.
Yeah,
Stay
I see
really,
that I see that backdrop. Look at that, like winding
yeah.
river recruiting, right?
Yeah, and so staying really connected with the trades is something that I'm gonna purposefully do because I think that, and I've said this on a bunch of different avenues. I think the people in the trades, not only do they need the help and want the help, but quite frankly, they're the most giving people in the world, right? They create all kinds of local community advocacy and all
Right.
that stuff. And that's what I really love about the trades. The people that I've been fortunate enough to work for have been exceptional. And so for me, it's just staying connected there and helping these guys think about business a different way, recognizing that nothing comes easy. There's no magic pills. There's no silver bullets.
Yeah.
Roll up your sleeve. You got to do some work. You got to do some things you may not love to do. And if you want to, I think what Nick Saban, who just retired, said it best. If you want to please people, sell ice cream. But if you're in the job of leadership, sometimes you're not going to please everybody.
Yeah,
And
you can.
so for me, it's just been an amazing journey from a young kid in high school working at a sporting goods store, transitioning that to become a business owner, working in automotive in central New Jersey, and really taking my networking skills to meet guys that own companies like Gold Medal Service, like Arctic Air, like AJ Perry, and being connected to who those guys are. And I'm
Right.
talking about some big players, obviously, in New Jersey. And then just being really connected to the people that work inside these businesses, which leads me to recruiting because I have such a common knowledge of a lot of marketplaces. I know a lot of people, and it allows me to kind of position and put people together with the right people the right way. And I think recruiting has been done wrong for a long, long time. And I think that we're able to, along with some other really great companies that are in the market, in the trades, I think there's
Right.
a few that do it really, really well. And I love working with those people, and I love participating with Winding River and offering my solutions to people.
Amazing, amazing. What a great story here. Like, starting with like, automotive, and then, you have done, I think you were part of that Costco, like different projects, and CEO Warrior. I run this marketing company, Grow Nearby, and I think we have a lot of clients. They still part of like CEO Warrior, and they love your leadership, everything what you have done overall, not just for CEO Warrior, but overall for the home service industry. You have transformed. You have that like impact in that in the home service industry. I want to just like go a little bit back, and then definitely we're gonna touch base on Winding River
Sure.
recruiting. And I just want to ask you, like, how has your role as the Chief Operating Officer for home service best practice company shaped your talents and expertise in the industry?
Wow. I think when you're and it's an interesting journey. So when I was first doing the coaching with Service Key and CEO Warrior, it was called Service Key before CEO Warrior. We changed it, branded it appropriately for the people that were founders and running it. And so for me, I think that, every aspect has been a different learning curve for me. So being an advisor and getting a
Mhm.
couple accounts to manage, being a trainer on stage and walking through guys on how to do comfort advisor sales or road warrior technician sales in the house. I
Right.
think each and every aspect has taught me a different, approach. And I think I learned through the complexities of today's world how to be better for my client. We got a couple different I have a couple different internal core values. One of them is sense of urgency. I think
Mm.
that's missed on so many
So many. Yeah.
like I live in a world where best practice, if I have a client that is caught up in a situation,
You're right.
there has to be a sense of urgency to help and support and assist, because if they get caught and they don't have the support that's there, they don't realize what really is out there and the level that's there. So for me, doing that, and I won't say it, really intricate trainings and coachings and day-to-days and one-on-ones and all that stuff really kind of built my discipline of hearing their challenges in the field, knowing what I've gone through working in a home service company for many, many years, my kind of position there. But then once you get into that COO level, once you get to the C-suite, it
Right.
changes. It
Right.
really does change. Then it becomes, who are you hiring? Who are you attracting to your business? Are you, because you can't be everything to everybody. And I
Agree.
think in today's world, that becomes a huge problem for people that are selling goods and services, and then people who are trying to help people learn. I just think there's some people you can't work with, and other people you can work brilliantly with. So
Right.
if you run down the path of being very specific to your values, I think you become really, really etched in the marketplace as somebody that creates really great value. And as the chief operating officer, operations is super important to anything, especially a best practice group. I think how you fundamentally think about your client's journey, what that expectation is
Right.
really important. And unfortunately, I think in today's world, we kind of went to this one to many in the coaching ranks. All of the coaching organizations went to this large one to many group. And I
Yeah.
think I think for some people they can learn that way. They can hear really great things and they can implement on their own. But Mandeep, and I know in our world,
Right.
implementation is the singular hardest thing for anybody, because we tell them how to do it, but if we're not in there rolling up our sleeves and showing them and having them teach it back to us,
Right.
there's a real hard time
I
for them to
agree.
get acclimated and implement.
Yeah, I agree with you. So we have seen like, contractors using multiple coaches as well. But I see like, is it like really working for you guys? And the thing is that they are frustrated at the end because they don't implement it back. Like whatever they're learning from, like, coach A, coach B, coach, like, it's a lot. I get it. But I think at the end of the day, like you said, right, implementing is the number one thing in the business. What is your take on having just like maybe just one coach versus multiple coaches? Like, since you are expert on that.
Well, I think today it's really difficult because there's 8 million coaches in the home service world, and
It is.
I'm not so sure everyone has credibility and authority to be doing what they're doing. Here's what I'll say. I think that if you are going to invest in a coaching organization and you have a need to learn certain things at a certain pace, you need to master that organization. You need to really hone in on what they offer and how they offer, because usually what I see, and this has been true with former clients of mine, and some of them have been really exceptional that have had multiple coaching organizations and great
Right.
businesses. Um, but there has to be a purpose to do that, right? And I think if you're the leader, I think, when CEO Warrior began and it's in its inception, we were so focused on the entrepreneur, on the owner, on that person's position and mindset and philosophies and visions and values. And I think
Right.
that's really important. What I did see some success with is that maybe they didn't get enough for their people out of CEO Warrior at the beginning. And so they would go to another company like a Nexstar or a Blue Collar and get some individual training from them that was more focused for their people. I think through that learned process in our industry, a lot of us have diversified, right? CEO
Right.
Warrior built a ton of trainings, exceptional trainings over the year. I know Nexstar does really great in training. I mean, like, Shreya working with Uncle Joe and what they
Yeah.
do at Service MVP, they do excellent trainings. And I've had a lot of my clients work with Joe, and I think they get, they get exactly what they want out of that for their people, and then they hopefully get exactly what they needed from us from whatever perspective that is. But I believe in today's world, if you're going to invest, because it's such an expensive process today,
It is.
you have to master the one. So if you're going there, go there and just get a level of mastery. It doesn't mean you got to stay forever, but become a master of what they're teaching, because I promise you, most of the people that struggle with that and then get angry and then don't get things implemented or feel as though it was a waste of money, it's because they didn't master everything and they missed key components of the process.
And I think they might have not like implemented, right? Like they can, I think mastery comes with like implementation. You're right. So I think implementation is the core key, which is missing. I think we can learn from many coaches, but at the end of the day, it boils down to like, what you are implementing and the foundation. And I think you mentioned at CEO Warrior, like a lot of foundation core values you guys like, had to teach. And I think that comes into a bigger picture, right? Right.
Yeah, and I think that when you look at hiring a coach, or when you look at somebody that's going to give you some insight into your business and be so intimate to something that's so important to you and your family, I think you have to make a conscious effort to recognize that you have to give it a little bit of everything you got, right? Like you have to program everything, you have to plan everything, you have to have a devotion to everything. And when things don't work, like I think we get caught up in a perfect world today. There is no such thing as perfect. Stop thinking that you
Right.
can create perfection in your life. Get things done, evaluate what they did, and then course correct it. Um, I think what I learned mostly working at Gold Medal Service as a director of sales, as a comfort advisor, as a guy that was running the install department,
Hmm.
I learned that change comes on a daily basis. And if you're
Yeah.
not willing to change, you will become irrelevant and die. So when you take on
Agree.
the thought of investing in a coaching organization or somebody like that, you have to really dial in to what your expectations are, find out what their expectations of delivery are, have some sort of service level agreement that you guys can honor and be. Because, like, if I don't deliver what I promised, then I'm just a liar.
Right.
And
Right.
and I don't, and I think that, and I don't want to say that that happens all too often in today's world, but I think, the squeaky wheel gets the oil position isn't what every guy should have to rely on.
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
people should care about the client journey, map out the client journey, produce a client journey, and then every step of the way, coach and train on new expectations and new involvement, because everybody's evolving every day, whether they want to be thinking about it or not.
Right. And I think that's I agree with that. And I think on top of that, I think coaches should have like some program or something where they can actually qualify, like, if these contractors are really participating or not. It's not just like, paying, on a monthly basis to them. There should be like, some kind of like, qualification, or, are you really implementing, and a hand to hand implementation. I think that's something, which is missing. Some of the coaches are doing pretty good with that, and you
I
really
think
get the
that's
work done. Yeah.
I think that's a challenge for every coach, right? Because you as a coach, you always want, and it could just be an educator, right? Trainer, manager, coach, whatever you want to call yourself. I think there's this level of you only have so much time to give, right? And so when you live in a big organization, when people don't want to do the work and you give your time to that, that gets incredibly frustrating for a coach or for a company that's helping educate. And
100%.
so what happens is the quality of that coaching, or the quality of the learning process, becomes diminished because there's a lack of energy around that. And man, I think that's one thing we did amazing at Warrior. We created a level of energy, we created excitement around tasks.
Hmm.
Like you know, and I know that like the mundane work of a CSR every day, if it's not enhanced through the energy of the organization, it
Mm.
becomes mundane and boring. And nobody wants to live in a boring world, not
Wo-
today. And so I think it's really important to stay focused on what those things are.
No, I agree, 100%. I think to the listeners, I hope like you're listening. If you are with like any of the coaches, make sure that you go back and just see what's going on and implement and be part of the change. Right? You have to challenge yourself every day and put in the work every single day. There is no magic pill out there that suddenly like you're gonna get like growth in your company. You have to put in the work.
I also think that like if you really if you really own it, right? And if you really participate and you're like, I'm gonna master you, CEO Warrior next, whatever it might be, whatever company it might be, I'm gonna master you. I think what happens is you watch, you're more intentional, and then you
Mm.
get to learn how did when the coach spoke to me about my marketing, what was he asking? What questions did he ask? How did he think about the return on
Yeah.
investment? How did he think about what we were doing, and was it practical, and did it make sense? And because then you get to see, you get to feel the pace of how we ask things and what our expectations are, because usually, or should be, that a coach or an advisor should be ahead of the curve, and then you can learn just from their process.
Right, right. I think I want to touch base like one more thing. I know you mentioned you have learned a lot like from different avenues, and you mentioned like having numerous mentors. How have these mentors influenced your growth and success, and how do you leverage their wisdom to benefit your clients?
Wow. Well, I'll talk about Mike Aguilera first. I think what Mike Aguilera has gifted me, and I am incredibly blessed. I've always been a pretty confident guy. Um, when I
You are.
came into the trades, when I came into HVAC and air conditioning and plumbing and underground world, I was ignorant to a lot of things that these guys were doing. Like I'm an auto mechanic. I turned wrenches for a living. I got the scars to prove it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but when you move into a different world, I think you lack a little bit of confidence because you're not all knowing, right? You don't understand everything,
Right,
all the principles of it. And I think what inherently happened to me, Mike Aguilera wrote this book called The Nine Pillars.
right.
If anybody gets a chance, that is an amazing book. I think it's on Amazon, but it's called The Nine Pillars. And Mike taught me that before the book was written. So I'm fortunate enough to have been with him as he developed it and ran it out there. And I feel like I lived it. And it built confidence in me that I don't think I would have been at the level I am today without it. It taught me what my mindset can create, taught me about manifestation and how I could create a greater future for people around me. And then it really taught me the true aspects of how clarity and alignment and accountability really, really impact not just me at work,
Mm.
but me as a dad, me as my daughter's confidant, me being the coach of my son's baseball team and football teams, and the impact that that makes. And I'll talk about Mike specifically with the nine pillars, just providing me a layer of confidence. And then and
That's
then with
amazing.
Rob Zadati, his partner, what I got from Rob was really kind of different. It wasn't a level of confidence, but it was certainly a level of um, I have to make sure that I learn things rapidly because people will depend on me like I
Mm.
never thought they would before. And so I believe, and we were talking before we started about how important it is and how much I take my conversations that me and you have at events, and I talk to other people,
Right.
that
Yeah.
people are listening to me, and sometimes that influence happens and I don't even know it. And
Yeah.
so
It does.
I take it as a huge responsibility. And Rob taught me, Mike and Rob collectively, or I mean, I can't even separate them because they're that connected. They taught me how to not only recognize the importance of what we say and what we do, and that we really are people that can provide some sort of influence to people, but then recognizing there's a process to helping people develop their own skills.
Right, right. No, I think in a different way, like you definitely, have impacted a lot of lives. Even I know, and they mentioned your name to me, and we have seen at the events as well. people are discussing like, the way that, you are always like open book, right? If you want to help,
Yeah.
and you're always like, collaborating, giving recommendations. And I want to touch base like, on one more thing. Your passion for operational excellence is evident, right? Could you share some key principles or strategies you believe are crucial for businesses aiming for excellence in home service industry?
Yeah, probably the biggest thing that I think is a failure, and you've probably heard me say this. We've talked about it probably together, Mandeep, as we go through it. Planning for people don't plan today like they should. And what do I mean by that? There is a daily presentation of planning in your day that
Right.
has to take place if you want to be a successful entrepreneur. So I learned, obviously, from Mike and Rob, like we talk about our mentors show us the way because they're the sensei, the person that's been there before. Like, look, planning the night before what we're going to do the next day is a non-negotiable for every single entrepreneur out on the planet. If you don't,
100%, hundred
if
percent.
you
Like
don't,
if even sorry, even on the like weekend, if you are just like having fun, I think spending time with family, that's great. But the time you spend on the weekend for the next week, I think that's like more crucial. And I've seen like amazing results. And the day before that you mentioned, I think that's, yeah, you're on.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think everybody should have a book. I think everybody should have a notebook on their dresser because when they're at the end of the night is when you are at your highest peak of thought, right? You're thinking about everything the day. How did the day go? Did I win the day? Did I get challenged by the day? What happened? What happened? How do I avoid those pitfalls? And what do I need to get done tomorrow to make tomorrow a winning day? And if you build that process and principle in
Yes.
every day you're going to incrementally be better. And I've taught this forever, not just 10 years with Mike and Rob and Warrior and that. I mean, since I've been a little league coach when I was back in the day in Baltimore, if you could just improve tomorrow a sliver of what you were today, at the end of the year, you become amazing. And so if you
Yeah.
compound that week by week by week, by quarter, by year, you inherently have to become good at what you're doing.
Right. No, I agree with you. 1% better every day. Plus, I think people should look at it just planning, not just for like, their operations. I would say in every area, even marketing, right?
Mm,
Everyone,
totally.
everyone, I think is looking for like hot leads, right? They don't want to like, go for organic because it takes time.
Right,
And
right, right.
everyone wants to go for like, LSA, pay-per-click leads. But you got to look at like micro and macro level both. You are not just going to be there for 6 months or 1 year. You are here for long term. You want to have this legacy impact. And I think planning is not there. And that's what like I teach. I show them the roadmap. And I think that planning comes, I think it applies to all the areas of your life,
I, I,
right?
I I am blown away at the times when I talk to a company. I mean, it's January, what, 19th, 18th? I don't even know the date. It's like the 18th, I guess.
N-
Um,
19th, yeah.
okay, 19th. Who knows? I know it's Friday. I know the Ravens play tomorrow. That's what I know. So we're good. So,
That's
but
good.
here's the reality. I think that when we think about like people and what they're doing, I always am blown away that on the 18th, 20th, February, we don't have an annual budget. We don't know what our budget is. I'm like, you can't run a business if you don't know where you're going. And so
Right,
if you were 3 million this year and you got designs on being 4 million this year, well, how are you going to do it? How are you
right.
going to increase call volume? Are you going to need another service expert on your team? Are you going to need a different layer of marketing? Are you going to need a different service to provide? Are you going to talk to your existing clients? Are you going to have membership programs? And so the reality is, if you fail to plan,
Hmm.
then you're planning to fail.
Planning
And
to
and
fail.
and ultimately, that's not okay in today's world. And I'll take it a step further from what you said. I think that you should plan the time with your family. Um,
Yeah.
because as an operator, what happens is when we don't plan well at work, then
Hmm.
we start not being present for our children and our significant others.
You're robbing time, like
And
your family. You're just like focusing on work. You're not spending time
totally,
with your wife, kids. And again, like my journey was like not easy for the last 4 years. Like we had a great success overall. But again, I was looking at like back, like wake, just like in 9 p.m. when kids go to bed, 9 p.m. to 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I know we have built this amazing company, grow nearby, but at the end of the day, now I've started spending more time with family, my wife. We try to go out on a date, like just try to at least once a month. I just read one book, back how to buy your time back your time, I think
Yep.
something like that. So I agree with you, and I think to your question, right, the percentage that people don't understand when it comes to marketing, I'll just like give one example from the marketing. You
Yeah.
have to spend 8 to 10%, like whatever you are making, whatever your revenue is, you have to spend 8 to 10% for your marketing. And if you're doing 5 million, it's around like 500,000 you should be spending, not just digital marketing, different traditional marketing, different types of marketing that you should plan. But we get to know they have this mindset, right? I think contractors, they have to get out of this mindset. Okay, we have this budget, 2,000, 5,000, but it doesn't work that way. If you're planning, if you want to
Right.
hit X number of phone calls, X number of revenue next year, it's not gonna work with this budget. You gotta hit that like 8 to 10% marketing budget, right? And same, it goes with others.
I think that's so glaring in today's world. And not only that, I mean, like, I could have a digital campaign that really does well and produces great, and maybe I should, and I live in a world where my avatar needs a direct mail piece in their mailbox, and we never experience it or we test it. And so then
Yeah.
we lose out on all that opportunity because we haven't done maybe a lookalike enhancement report, and we don't know who's in our marketplace and what is our typical client and our perfect avatar purchasing. And so all those planning phases, not only from a marketing standpoint and a delivery standpoint and a
Mm,
sales and all every avenue needs a layer of marketing and or not marketing, everything needs a layer of planning. And I think if
right.
you just plan properly, guess what happens? Maybe you got budgeted 8 to 10% in marketing and you do really great work and it falls at 7%. And you can go, hey,
Right.
how great is that? So
Right.
next year we know that discipline helps. How can we compound upon it later? So, but you got to have targets, you got to have budgets, you got to have planning. And if you don't have that stuff operationally, then you're just a misfit.
Right.
I mean that in the nicest way.
Nicest way. Oh, yeah, I think you shared your story, your about your mentors, about like your impact and the challenges that people face. And I want to touch base on like your new company, Winding River Recruiting. So what's what exactly you're doing and how you're helping contractors in the industry, and how can contractors like benefit from this?
Well, I think my approach for recruiting, and I fundamentally taught this for a long, long time, and I've been saying it forever, that nobody has a hiring problem, everybody has a retention problem. And
Mm,
so I think if you were a contractor and you've been in business for a period of time, if you went back and looked at everybody that's come in and out of your business, you would recognize that there are some things that you've done that have allowed people to maneuver away from your business, that if you could go back in time and change, you would do that. And
right.
so and so my philosophy with recruiting is everybody says they are, but none of them are doing it, right? Like none of them are doing it well. I think like, look, there's people that could come to me and say, hey, can you find me this person? And I can go out and get that person, give you a couple people to choose from, you pick them, and then we see how well they do. That's not what we do here at Winding River. And so what
Okay.
what I'd like to do is I want to attract the client for them. So I'm going to put out the ads. I'm going to go look for them. I'm going to find them in the market. I know a lot of people in a lot of different markets. So I'm going to attract them to the opportunity. Then I'm going to run them through my assessment test. I'll give them assessment skills tests. If they're a general manager, there's a certain skills test they could
Right.
take. If they want to be a controller, there's a certain set of skills I need to know that they have and can at least show them or showcase them for me. I want to do interviews. I want to run them through disc assessments. I want to make sure that we understand who they are as an individual. And I go into your company and have a deep understanding of what your culture's like. Because
Mm,
here's the problem with most recruiting companies, and it's not the recruiting company's fault. It's the contractor's fault. Um, you guys have shitty cultures.
cultures. Yeah.
And when your culture and your leadership is non-existent, people will not stay with you. People will leave, and they will leave at the worst times. and they will leave when opportunity strikes the most. So when are you going to lose that number one sales guy because you got shitty culture? You're going to lose them at the end of April, beginning of May. And when
That's the worst time.
yeah,
Yeah.
and when are you going to lose an install team? In the middle of May, when you're ready to ramp up for June, July, and August, especially if you're in the East Coast like I am in New Jersey. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't lose people then. And I think what happens is that people take and all of this is cornerstoned and starts with the vision of the company and the core values of you intentionally in your business. And if you start there and then you build this cultural excellence and cultural strength in your business, then people will naturally attract people to your business. And I think that's what's missed on some of these guys. Some of these guys are like, why is it so hard to hire? But yet a guy
Mhm.
down the street has 1,000 employees. It's
Right.
not hard to hire. Your discipline and your culture and your leadership is precluding you from finding really good people. So for me, I want to find out all about your business. I want to see I want to look at your P&L. I want to know what your budget is. How are we going to afford them? How are we
Mm.
going to create opportunity for them? What does that look like? Or do we have any marketing mechanisms? Because, like, if I have to go out and find a comfort advisor for a company, but yet you don't have any leads now, what
Right.
what what am I doing? What am I
Right.
doing?
Yeah, that's what like I was wondering. Like, even if you are helping with the recruiting, like, you can put an ad, you can, do the interviews and everything. But it's sometimes it's very hard to find that, like you mentioned, shitty work culture. Like, I know you can make a visit, you can ask a lot of questions, but what are the parameters that you can easily get to know that they have a bad culture out there? Like, how do you get that?
Well, I think when I look at culture, there's a couple things that I look at. Obviously, I need to know that there's somewhat of a
Mhm.
nice client base. I think that's really important because you can't have culture without clients.
Yeah.
Because people have to know that they're doing something greater than them. So you can't have culture if you don't have sales and clients. Sorry, you just can't. And then
Mhm.
I think there's systems and processes that you have to have a certain dedication to that in your business. If you don't have any systems or processes, you have a poor culture, period. That doesn't mean you can't develop it, you can't improve it, and you can't expand upon it. But if you don't have any dedication to system and process development, you have a shitty culture, because people
Mhm.
don't know what their expectations
That's
are,
major.
and then they'll run through their day guessing, and you don't want that. But it really, for me, it starts with this. Every single company has a couple different things that are really important. One of them is the painted vision of your business. Where is Winding River going to be in 3 to 5 years? How many
Mm.
clients are we going to serve? How many
Right.
employees am I going to have? What is going to be our demand and offer to the marketplace?
Mhm.
What's going to be the differentiator between me and another amazing recruiting company like Work with Hands and Kelly Pesgrave? They do amazing work. What do I do differently than her? And why would there be that interaction with me versus that, right? So
Right.
and then I think about, how do I make people understand that? How do I paint that for them? How do they absorb that? And that's through my rules of engagement and the core values of how we kind of operate during the day, and do we create innovation, and do we operate with integrity, and we do the things that matter the most, which I think is really important. And then and then there's that brand promise. What does your
Mm.
brand say to the market? What is your brand impression in the market? And like, look, when you think about the great brand guys out there that have created some magical things in marketplaces, right? Dan Antonelli comes to mind of all the brands that he's
Oh
built.
yeah.
And
Gettle.
you,
Look at the Gettle, like A1
yeah,
Garage.
and when you look at those brands have a promise to the market just in their visual, just in their illustration. So I think those key components are where you have to start. And then I think interviewing your existing employees is something I'm going to do to find out what they think of your culture.
Right, right. I think that's very smart. I think good insights here where I think people lack from, like, they don't have like system and processes, because I hear all the time they don't have time. You gotta have time to build those like system and processes. That's the foundation, I think, for the work culture, right? You said.
I, I think
Right.
it's a healthy, I 100%. Here's what I'll give everybody to think about too. I think that every single company needs systems and processes. I don't think any of us disagree. All of
Right.
us believe that. If you don't
100%.
have systems and processes, you are missing the boat. However, I think in today's world, we can be incredibly process driven, and that messes with people's imagination and creativity. And
Hmm.
I never want my people to act and live in a world where they have to lack creativity. I would rather have foundational framework rather than scripting on a phone. Why? There's a certain way I want you to do it, but I need Sally's personality to come out because that's who I love.
Freedom.
So
Give that freedom without micromanaging, and
a hundred
they're
percent.
gonna excel what they do the best, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like look at Amazon in today's world, right? And they've had a lot of tumultuous challenges with some employment things in the
Right.
upper end of their organization. But when you think about the guys that come through your neighborhood,
Hmm.
what kind of creativity do they have in their day? And at the end of the day, and I don't mean to disparage an Amazon driver, don't get me wrong, but I wonder how enthusiastic they are.
They are.
It's probably very difficult to create enthusiasm when you do things that are so process driven over and over and over and over and over again. And I think to have a great culture, there's a healthy balance of really great systems and processes and really amazing creativity and allowing boundaries to be pushed, because the great companies in the trades today are pushing boundaries and challenging critical thinking. And if we could challenge some thinking, because like, look, our clients in today's world, they are filled with complexity.
Right.
Filled with complexity. I can wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, order something, and have it on my porch by 10 o'clock. That's
Hmm.
crazy.
That's
It's
that's
crazy. And so they want that sense of urgency in their home service company. They want that level of service in their home service company. So how do we exemplify that? Or how do we kind of create those kind of nuances that make people go, man, it's so tough in this world, but John at Ajax is unbelievable. His service company takes care of me so great. I'll never go anywhere else.
yeah.
And remember, that all comes from the branding and its positioning, the beautification of it, what the messaging says, the brand promise, the painted vision, the core
The
values,
system, processes, everything.
great
What
clients, and the amazing processes.
what a great thing that you mentioned, like interviewing your existing employees. And I remember, like, Tommy Mello mentioned at the stage there that, he talks with, like, with his team, like, how can we achieve your dream, like your goal, right? And if you are achieving, like, to the all the home service contractors, entrepreneurs, those who are listening, if you are having this conversation with your employee, how can we achieve your goal or dream? And I think that's a different conversation. If you are just all about numbers, that's the number race, but you got to actually work individually and making sure, like, what they want, right? And if you achieve that, they're going to be dedicated for your company, for your success, right?
100%. Nobody cares about money.
Yeah.
People only care about what money can do for them. Buy them a new house for their family, change their lifestyle, get them a vacation they never had,
Yeah.
have babies, buy cars, buy a boat, enjoy life, go on a whirlwind trip you never thought you could ever do before. This industry creates so much abundance. I
Yeah.
think the challenge is that we miss out on those moments because we're so caught up in next, next, next. I will say, to Tommy's credit, and he's built some really special businesses.
Amazing.
But the dream manager concept that he talked about on stage, and that's what you're referencing, I think that is putting your money where your mouth is, because everybody talks about, I know my guys why, and I help them get to that why. And that's incredibly important. But
Hmm.
man, when you put somebody in your organization that is their job, you're setting a standard in your culture that we won't celebrate anything until you've gotten what you want. I think that's really great. And what you want
Yeah.
isn't, I got another customer converted.
Hmm.
I went on that lifetime vacation to Hawaii. I never thought I could do, boss. Thank you. And then, okay, cool. What's the next dream? I mean, come on, who wouldn't want to work for that?
Yeah.
And so I think that's really important. And I think, like, look, in the complexity of the day and the nuances of the day and the stress of the day and the challenges of being an entrepreneur in today's world, we miss a lot of that because we're so caught up on what we have to get done to make payroll happen, to buy, to do all the things that we do in business.
I agree with you. Like, it's like day-to-day activities, what's next, and to make those things happen, payroll, we have to take care of this. But I think the things that you have mentioned, those are very, very, I think, critical. If we learn and if we start implementing, not just like, everything at one go, just start, right? I think
That's it.
first step, and that's amazing. Again, it was amazing, chatting with you here. I would love to, drop, like, maybe everything in the information in the description as well. How can
Great.
people reach out to you to learn more about Winding River recruiting? What's the best place to reach out?
Well, I am a Facebook guy, so you guys can hit me up on Facebook anytime. I'm there to greet. I give free information as much as I possibly can. You get to choose what you do with it. But I have a website. It's called windingriverrecruiting.com. It's got all my information on there. My cell number's in there. My emails are in there. You guys can pop on there, maybe learn a little bit about what we're doing with the company, hear a little bit more about my bio if you wanted to hear about that. And then if you needed to communicate with me on any level, whether it be recruiting or you had just genuine questions about anything, I really have turned my life into a vocation of support. And I think that's really what I was meant to do, and I'm going to do that. So whatever that means for you, whatever level of support you need, I will do my best to either find you the knowledge that I have that will help, or find somebody who can really help you.
Amazing. Thank you, Mike. What you have done for home service industry and what you're doing with your new venture. You're always like, creating new opportunities, new ways to help home service industry. And thank you for sharing everything, your journey and your insights and knowledge with us. And I hope you stay warm in New Jersey. The weather is going to be amazing here in Florida. Feel free to visit us anytime. But again, I'm sure I'm going to see you at any of the events which is like coming this year, and I'm
Yeah,
looking
absolutely. I
forward.
know there's a bunch of our friends at AHR right now getting ready, right? So
Yeah,
uh,
I'm gonna miss that. I'm gonna miss that one, but
me too.
I
Me too.
haven't planned actually events. But yes, planning, right? I'm
That's
gonna
it.
planning that you mentioned, so I'm gonna plan all those events. It was fun, having you on our show, and yeah, we'll definitely chat soon, Mike. Thank you so much.
All right. I appreciate you. Have a great day. Thanks so much.